session in the week before the last monetary policy meeting for 2024. Let's get to the top stories that set to agenda now. Let's get a check on what's playing out with oil markets. We see oil prices, they've held steady for a second day today as concerns about escalating hostilities in the Ukraine war potentially disrupting oil supply from Russia, and signs of growing Chinese crude imports offset the data showing U.S. crude stocks. That's rising. Brent, $73.26, down 0.5%, but we see WTI crude on chain. Let's get a check on what's playing out in the FX market. We're seeing a gain there for the NFM window, 0.68%, 1,678 naira to the dollar. That was the close yesterday, but NAFEX window down 0.10%, 1,678 naira to the dollar. So a lot of volatility still there. Then we see the Anambra State Governor, Professor Chukwuma Soludo, has presented the 2025 budget proposal of 606 billion naira to the State House of Assembly. The budget, tagged Changing Gears 2.0, marks a 48% increase from 2024's 410 billion naira, with 139 billion naira for recurrent expenses and 467.5 billion naira for capital projects. Key allocations include 100% increase for education, 82.7% for the social sector, 57.1% for health, 51.3% for the judiciary. Governor Soludo highlights the state's commitment to accelerated budget execution, achieving over 50% implementation in 2024 without borrowing. And today we have an exclusive interview with the former Director General of Nigerian Stock Exchange, Professor Okereke-Onyuike. And in this chat with our business editor, John McWash, she's challenging the federal and state governments in the country to prioritize domestic funding over foreign borrowings. Take a listen.
Thank you so much, Ladi. Well, it's a special part of Business Morning. Today we're doing out of the studio interview, and I guess it's worth it when we look at the person that we're talking to. We're talking to a former Director General of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. She's a professor of capital markets from the University of Nigeria, and I know when you hear her name and you see her face, you just think of Nigeria's capital market. We're speaking with Professor Okereke-Onyuike right here in her home. Thank you so much for your time, ma'am.
Thank you too for coming to talk to me. Great. I like to talk about the stock market, so I'm very comfortable with you.
All right, Prof. Well, I want to start by asking, when you left the New York Stock Exchange and you came to Nigeria, yes, you were supposed to stay for, I think, 3 months and all of that, would you say the vision you had then has been realized decades after, when you look at Nigeria's capital market, especially the stock exchange?
Yes. And on my own, sometimes, even if they don't ask me, if I notice something that is not going on well, I will politely call and politely tell them, maybe you should try it this way. I don't sit down and wait for them to consult me. And of course, I'll never take a dime from anybody asking me anything about the stock market, because it's an area that I believe should grow higher and higher and make Nigeria proud and create wealth for Nigeria. There's no, if you look at the top 10 countries in the world, it is their stock markets that created most of the wealth. And I want Nigeria to be in that line, so that it's not just sell oil. Even the oil that we have in abundance, how much are we making out of it? We're still poor. So it is a stock market that creates wealth for any nation, because people from all nations invest in the market. They don't need to know anybody. You just call a stockbroker and give them money to buy social company shares for you. The only thing that you can do is ask the stockbroker, if you are not vast with the stock market, to advise you. And there's no stockbroker that would then enjoy advising you, because it's their work and they want the work to expand and for them to also make good money. I believe that it is the stock market that that creates wealth in every economy. Look at all the money we have in oil and gas. Are we making the money that we ought to make? If we had people that would carry themselves into the engine room of the stock market and list our oil company in the stock markets, the government of Nigeria will make so much money they won't know what to do with the money. Because foreign investors that come here and deceive them and spend for $10 and then earn over $10 million. You can't do anything about it. But in the stock market, everything is open. Like a book, you can pick up and see everything happening there. There's no secrecy. There's no signing of any document behind the backs of Nigerians. And we keep telling the government, the people working in government, maybe because they are making extra money, don't bother to create wealth by the government coming to the market to raise funds, because they know that when they raise that money, the stock exchange will be after them to know that money was spent exactly for what you say you are going to spend the money for.
You think that the government should actually look the way of the capital market to raise funds for projects, that would solve a lot of problems, including the issue of corruption and transparency?
To raise funds, because nobody is going to play with that money, because the stock exchange will see what is going on. But they don't want to, because they want to steal Nigeria's money, and they've been doing so. And then what happens? They steal the money. We know they stole the money, but then people glorify them. So it's the fault of all Nigerians. You see somebody, you don't know how he made his money, only that he worked in government. What are you glorifying him for? You know he stole the money. What's their salary? My salary in the stock exchange is more than the salary of the president of Nigeria. But the president of Nigeria can buy me over 20 million times over. 20 million times over. Because he has access to the money and he spends it anyhow he likes. The people working for him also do that. So we have to have the decency of creating wealth through an avenue. We are copying America. We are copying London. And so on and so forth. Are we copying correctly? No. There's no big business that the U.S. government will start up or want to create that they will not go to the stock market. They want their people to be part and parcel of it. They also know that the stock market will not allow people to take bribes and close bad issues in the market. Their word is there. In every stock exchange in the world, it says, my word is my bond. And if you go against your word is your bond, you're out. You are out of the market. So I think we should create that wealth more in the market, in the stock market. And that wealth will not disappear.
So the capital market can withstand the demand from the governments, federal government, state government, because normally governments demand huge amounts of money.
Yes. Why? Because if you know that money that you're buying the shares into, this money that government wants to raise for a certain project, and you read about the project, I know it's a project that will make money, you will buy. Because you know that if that money came through the stock exchange, the stock exchange will be monitoring the company. So it's not government officials alone that will be monitoring company. They are monitoring company too. So how they can steal money? The stock exchange will be monitoring the company to make sure the company does better and pays enough towards the investment that Nigerians or non-Nigerians even, people have invested in that business that the government wants to raise money from. And when they raise that money, that money will be applied to what the stock exchange will monitor. The money will be applied to what it was raised for. And so there's no question of saying that they didn't make money out of that money they raised. But the whole thing is dead. No such thing, because not only the stock exchange, the stockbrokers, they do most of the work. Because they are the ones that go to talk to people to invest the money. So they will make sure that nobody plays around. And when that money is made, it is fully declared openly. The market is an open place. There's nothing to hide. You can't hide. Because the staff, besides the staff of the stock exchange, who sees everything? The stockbrokers and their numbers. Right now they're up to 700. So how many of them are you going to convince? The staff of the stock exchange, the chief executive, the DG, does not keep anything. It comes out in the open for everybody to see. That is the structure of the market. The chief executive cannot hide anything. The board cannot hide anything either. There's nothing you do on the boardroom that the staff don't know about. And also the investing public. We have to give them the information on a daily basis. So how can you steal money and hide? It's not possible. So, but the civil servants are the ones that are killing Nigeria. The wealth of Nigeria is, we only talk about it. Do you have any in your pocket? No. Do I have any in my pocket? No. Because the wealth of Nigeria is being stolen by a few people that are supposed to be custodians of the wealth of Nigeria. The only way we can get out of it, any major project that the government will do, go to the stock market and do it. You don't need to spend any other money. Open up the company, create a company, open it up to the public. The Nigerian public will buy into it, and they monitor and make sure they get a return on their investment. And that's how we grow. That's how countries are growing. That's how America grew. That's how the London we are running to every day. How did they grow? The stock market. Where is America? One of the richest country in the world is the stock market. Because you cannot hide anything there.
Okay, but there are also questions as to transparency in the running of the capital market, the NGX, and we've seen even foreign participation these days have dropped. So I think we've hit a new low. What about those questions also for the stock exchange?
It's not because the market itself or the stock exchange is not doing its work. It's just that they are not spending time to enlighten, educate and enlighten not only the public in Nigeria, but the public out there in the world, that countries that spend money, people that know what spending, buying and selling shares means, creating wealth for them. We go, when I was the chief executive of the stock exchange, we used to go not on parambulating in London or US or anywhere. We go there for a reason, to get people, quality people, to invest in our market, so that the market will grow, people will make money. Well, I don't see much of that now. And I'm open to advice free of charge to any human being, from the stock exchange itself or from stockbrokers. A lot of stockbrokers come to me to ask, and I give them all the information for free. There's not a single stockbroker that wake up today and say that I charge him money for giving him advice that is worth millions of dollars or naira. The stock exchange has never asked me a question, asked me for advice, or asked me to connect them with the number of investors I know abroad. Okay? I'm not saying they are not doing well, because if they follow what the structure of the stock exchange, they are doing their best. But we are lacking. We are lacking. I worked in the New York Stock Exchange. That is the #1 stock exchange in the world, followed by the UK, London Stock Exchange. And I also went to the London Stock Exchange for training. Because I know that when Nigeria wants to set up a stock exchange, he will go to London, inform a master. He will not go to America. But little did I know that when Sir Bank Anthony came to New York Stock Exchange with a group of big men from Nigeria to come and help them set up a stock exchange in Nigeria, he didn't go to UK. He went to America, the New York Stock Exchange, which is the biggest stock exchange in the world. He came there with 14 men, making 15. All men, no woman. However, when the New York Stock Exchange told them that they will have somebody that can go to Nigeria, start up the stock exchange with her and finish everything with her eyes closed and come back to America. I said, you say, you mean a woman? No, we don't want a woman. We want a strong man that will come and do this work. My boss, John McGee, who was #2 in this New York Stock Exchange, told them that this same woman we are talking about want to send to a young lady. So my boss thought I was a Muslim. My boss was in charge of establishing stock exchanges and he was #2 in the New York Stock Exchange. So he chose me to go to set up the bond exchange in Saudi Arabia. I did a fantastic job because they were praising me when I came back. By the time I got back, my boss was showing me all the write-up they made about me. But I did a good job.
And that's what they knew you would do.
So when Bank Anthony came, they told him, look, we have a young lady. Now we're going to set up the stock exchange in Nigeria with her eyes closed. Because she happens to come from Nigeria, so she will know much better than sending a white man to come and do it. And they said, so Bank Anthony said, you have a black woman. So they sent for me. Then I got into the hall. I looked around and I saw Sir Bank Anthony. I went there, knelt down and said, Karosa. And that's how I came. I didn't plan to work here, to stay back in Nigeria. But people like Sir Bank Anthony may say, so rest in peace, talked to me and said, this is your country. No matter how high you rise in the New York Stock Exchange, you will never be the chief executive because your crime is that you're a woman, you're from Nigeria. Even if you naturalize and become an American, they still won't appoint you as their chief executive. So please stay here and do it for us.
And that's how it became.
That's it.
Very.
So I want other Nigerians too. Anytime I go abroad and meet some Nigerians, I say, look, when you finish acquiring the knowledge you have come to acquire, try to come home.
Okay, but the thing is, some Nigerians are even reluctant to come back home. They look at the policies, inconsistency at this time, the macroeconomic environment, the ease of doing business. So a lot of Nigerians actually do not want to come back home to contribute. They don't have enough confidence.
I agree with you. But we have to continue trying. For us to have a beautiful country that we can all comfortable stay in and say, I'm not going anywhere else unless you want to just go for once in a while to see for my friends in London or for my friends in US to spend more time in Nigeria. We have to do it all together. Many Nigerians have gone to study abroad and come back. At least 2/3 of us have come home. The people at home are the problem. Nobody stopped you from going abroad. Okay? But people that went abroad have come to teach you what they learned. Collect it as your own. Harness it and use that knowledge to develop Nigeria further. It doesn't matter where you went to school. It is what you learnt there that will help Nigeria if you come and apply it. So another here and I can't say don't go abroad to study. It is when you go abroad you have open mind, broad mind. Some people keep their mind tightened and they don't bother. So let us keep trying. Our people here, Nigerians are brilliant people. There's nowhere in this world that Nigerians go to that they don't excel. The problem is, can they come back to help grow more Nigerians? A couple of years and go back. And most of the time, when you do come back, and you are committed, dedicated to what you are creating in Nigeria, you don't feel like going back again.
So this administration led by President Bola Tinubu, they're aiming for a $1 trillion economy. How, from your perspective, can the capital market help to accelerate that target, achieving that target?
You can get all the you need from the stock market. All the government needs to do is to put the instrument in the market. People will invest in that instrument. They have to put, not just say we want to raise money for social company. You pick the quality companies in Nigeria today that will be able to raise money for government. Privatize them. Start with 5. Pick 5 quality companies that people who want to buy shares in. Privatize them. If you want to keep control, that's the problem with Nigerians. They want to let go. They are not doing well with the company, but they don't want to let go. Let's go the companies. Government has no business running business. Governments cannot run business effectively and create wealth for people and for itself, the government. So let our government realize that. In fact, maybe I'll take you one day to go and see our President Tinubu. He was my next door neighbor at Okereke-Onyuike. I was number 1, Isaac John. He was number 3, Isaac John, next door. And we used to relate well. Remy, the wife, used to relate well with me. Sometimes we used to have breakfast together on Saturday morning. So that we can get a lot more people in government to understand that the only way you can create wealth, real wealth, is through the stock market, not from bank. Why are all the banks listed today? Most, 3/4, no, let me just say, 80% of Nigerian banks are listed on the stock exchange. I only gave them one talk, one day only, right? I only spoke to them, called all the chief executives on the stock exchange and lectured them on how to create wealth for the banking system. The only way you can do that is come and list. This refinery that they could not fix, it's just that people are stealing the money. If they come to the stock exchange to raise that money, Nigerians will buy shares in LNG. We buy shares in any oil-related company that stock exchange that the government puts in the market. Nigerians will buy shares, take up all the shares, and government will have so much money they wouldn't know what to do with it. And of course, the stock exchange will not allow them to take money that they have raised from the stock exchange to share to themselves. That money will be raised for the government companies that are listed on the prospectus. The prospectus is a document that they will prepare to attract people to buy the shares. And of course, the stock exchange itself will not allow or sit back and watch government spend that money that was raised on the stock exchange for a particular project to go and spend it elsewhere. The stock exchange will open its mouth and talk. If they are afraid to talk, let them come to me. I will talk. Nobody is going to kill me. God will not allow them, because I'm saying what is right for Nigeria.
All right, Prof, thank you so much for your time and sharing your insights with us. I mean, as the media, it's our job to keep spreading the ideas shared and hopefully to get to the right ears and then to get implemented. Thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome. It's a pleasure talking to you, and especially you're a lady. Please, my dear, continue your work in a good way.
All right, Prof. All right, so that's it from this Outside the Studio interview. Back to you, Ladi.
Thank you so much, Ine. That was an exclusive there with Professor Okereke-Onyuike, that's a former Director General of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. Well, the market is open now. We'll give you a snippet of what's playing out in the markets at intraday. That's at 1 p.m. on Business Incorporated. That's it from me on Business Morning. I hand things over to the Sunrise Daily team.